Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Off the Table, your Monday morning tabletop gaming news, community, and questions in 10 minutes or less. As always, I'm your host, Jack, and let's get to the show. So our first news item is that we have the nominees for Spiel, Jahres, and Kinnerspiel. And the nominees for Kinnerspiel are Carpe Diem, Detective, and Wingspan. Kinnerspiel is the more strategic line of games. And then for the Spiel, the big winners here. This is like the Oscars of board games. We have Just One, Llama, and Werewords. And I think if you're anything like me and what seems to be the rest of the board game hobby, you're like, Llama? What is Llama? And then you take a look at Llama and you're like, what the heck is this game? But it is clearly shot to the top of the BGG hotness. It is a Reinar Knizia game, and I think people are hungry for the Reinar Knizia renaissance, or at least I am, because, man, do I love me some Knizia games. So congratulations to everyone who's nominated, and I want to know, who do you think should win and why? And then next up, we have the Devil May Cry Kickstarter by Steamforge Games. And interestingly, there were separate terms and conditions outside of the Kickstarter for this thing. And I quote, "We will make every reasonable effort to ensure that if the campaign is successful, we will complete this project. However, due to the nature of the project, creating something which does not exist, despite our best efforts, we might sometimes not be able to manage to complete the project as promised." And there are tons of terms and conditions like this, and they're all outside of the Kickstarter page. This is bananas. I've never seen anything like this before. And I mean, it's good that it's up front, right? But also, it is kind of bad that they're doing everything they can to mitigate their liability and put the onus completely on you. I mean, yeah, I know Kickstarters are supposed to be you donating to help a company and then you're getting some reward, but come on, they are clearly using this as a pre-order service and telling you that, yo, we might not even give you the game that you were looking for in the first place, and that's your problem. All I'm saying is, as always, my advice is be careful what you support on Kickstarter and be cautious about what practices that you want to put your money towards. Like, what do you want to see in Kickstarters in the future? And no matter how much you like this game, just consider if you want to see this perpetuated in the whole Kickstarter ecosystem down the road. And our last news item is that Stonemaier Games has responded to the allegations from last week that Stonemaier has some anti-retail business practices. Jamie Stegmaier put a blog post up in which he admits that they're not the absolute friendliest to FLGSs in the hobby, but at the same time, they make a lot of efforts in order to be more supportive. It seems like a really well-reasoned and earnest response. And this just cements in my mind that Stonemaier's main objectives are twofold. One is to be a sustainable business, and two is to make sure that great games are getting into the hands of you, the gamers. And honestly, I think that's worth supporting. Then moving over to announcements, we have Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. It's a tactical combat game because, you know, combat is everyone's favorite aspect of Bethesda games. And then GMT announced a new Labyrinth expansion, The Forever War 2015 to ? And this game picks up where the previous expansion left off. It has a bunch of new cards. And I quote, "allows the game to continue to serve as an effective strategic level model of the ongoing struggles in the Muslim world." Whoa. I've played Twilight Struggle, and it wasn't necessarily my thing, but can anyone give me the skinny on GMT here? I know that people absolutely love this company and the things that it produces, so I want to hear from you. What is it about GMT that you just love so much? And then our last announcement is that Zman has announced Pandemic Rapid Response. We reported on this game a couple months ago, actually, where there was a leak of a real-time dice game that is in the Pandemic line, and we confirmed with Z-Man directly that, yeah, this was Pandemic Rapid Response and that it was coming down the road, and this is their official announcement. It looks really cool. The components look fantastic, especially those dice. I love real-time games, and the idea that this is going to be a cooperative one, I'm all on board for that. And as far as theme, it looks like it takes place on a plane and you're flying to different cities and just trying to take care of the issues in that city as fast as possible. I think I'm actually getting a copy of this, so stay tuned for a review on that on this channel down the road. Now for our highlights, as promised last week, I have continuing coverage from Ted Alspach of Bezier Games in the making of Silver and Silver Bullet, because Ted was gracious enough to answer several questions having to do with making those games. And I thought these were unique games and something that you see from time to time in this industry where parallel products are coming out at the same time that are compatible, but they're also supposed to be standalone items. And I asked Ted, what are some of the challenges in coming out with these separate but compatible games? And so this is Ted Alspach with Bezier Games answering that question.
Some of the challenges that we faced when developing these standalone games, Silver and Silver Bullet, and also making sure that they're compatible, that you can mix and match the different abilities inside the games, is that each of those games needs to kind of stand, as it says, on its own, and for you to be able to pick it up and play it and not feel like you're missing out on something because you don't have one of the other games in the series. And so having that as a complete balanced game by itself is probably the biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge is, of course, making sure that everything is compatible with everything else, and all the different abilities in each of the standalone games work with the other standalone games. And that if you take one role from one game and add it to another one, it doesn't break it, or if you mix and match, 5 from one, 5 from another, and 5 from a third, that's going to be fine as well.
Thanks, Ted, for coming on to the show. You can find more about any of Bezier's line, including Silver and Silver Bullet, on their website or at the link in the description below. And that will take us to our question segment. And I have a question for you. We talked a lot about a bunch of different games, a bunch of different publishers, a bunch of different designers, right? And I want to know, what is your dream team? Like, what is the ultimate publisher, designer, artist combo for you that you would love to see someday? For example, like if it were me, I was talking earlier about how much I love Knizia, right? And I was talking about Stonemaier Games. So why don't we throw those two together and then get some art by, say, Vincent Dutrait, because I love that French cartooning art. Like, I'm an Asterix fanboy through and through. And man, that would be something to behold. But enough about me. I want to know, what is your dream team? So put it in the comments below. With that, we are going to sign off. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Cardboard Herald's Off the Table. And I just want to say I appreciate so much all the likes, the subscribes, the retweets, the comments, the thumbs ups, all that stuff really makes a big difference. It tells us that you're looking forward to the show, and it lets us know what we should be doing in order to make it the best that it can be. So once again, thank you for all your support. And with that, I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald, and I'll talk to you next week. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcast, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.